So, so recently I made a TikTok doing the 5 finger down challenge, making fun of myself on how hard I worked in high school for it to do nothing and me dropping out. And in doing so, I actually got a lot of views, more than I thought it would. And I also got a lot of comments and personal messages on Instagram on people asking me stuff like, how did my family feel? How did I know college wasn't meant for me? Why did I choose to drop out? Do I regret it? Will I go back? Etc. Right? And I just thought this would be an easier way to explain all of it. But yeah, I've actually tried to make this video so long, but I just start talking so much. Like, if you watch my videos, you just know I just ramble about everything. So this time, I'm actually writing things down, and we're just making it concise. Because I think this is my 5th attempt. But for example, I'm talking right now. Oh my god. But each time I'm talking for like 30 minutes each, and I'm like, I don't like this. Okay, so we're making it more concise. Okay, so I guess we'll just start with origin. Origin, like I'm a superhero. But from an early age, before I even went to school, my mom has always been the type to here. Before I even went to school, my mom has been the type of person to want us to do really well, right? And she didn't know English, so the way we learned English, me and my sisters, was through TV. We watched a lot of TV growing up, and that's how we learned English. And throughout our early years of elementary, we went through ESL, so we had to learn English that way. But before I even went to kindergarten, my mom always made us learn math. She was really big into basic arithmetic, and by the time I went to kindergarten, I knew how to do addition to any number, essentially addition and subtraction to any number, and I knew my multiplication up to 13 times 13. But yeah, so throughout elementary was a super easy time for me in school, just because academic wise I didn't think anything was a challenge. So I was considered in gifted programs, but they're nothing, to be honest. Yeah, and after I moved from our childhood home to the new place that my parents are now today, I became an introvert. I became really chubby, and I just, from 3rd grade until junior high, I just stayed inside and I read. And that's how I really learned how to read really fast, learned more English, learned how to speak a little bit better, write better, etc. And yeah, so by the time I went to junior high, I think this is stupid. Okay, by the time I went to junior high, I became more social. I started doing more things, but I started watching this show, House. Obviously, I feel like everyone knows that show by now, but it's a medical show, right? And somewhere between watching that, I just thought oh, being in a hospital would be really cool. Being a doctor would be really cool. So I just decided to myself, hey, I could be a doctor. I could go to med school. And that's what I decided. So I just started working a lot harder in school, getting really good grades. And by 9th grade, I decided that I wanted to be the best of the best, right? So I wanted to be a brain surgeon. I became SBO president, and entering high school, I ended up joining 12 clubs, being president of 6 of them. I did 300-hour community service every single year. I took 10 AP classes. I was just doing everything I could to look really good on a college resume. If you were to ask a school counselor, what do I need to do to look really good and stand out and apply for scholarships to look good in front of schools, etc. And I did everything possible. I joined all these clubs. I won competition in a lot of them, like DECA, HOSA. I started clubs at my school, and yeah, I just did everything possible to look really good on college resumes. During this time, I even started SirWeAre throughout high school, and I had my own business. Yeah, it was just a lot, right? So simple backstory. By the time my senior year happened, so now we're into senior year, right? So senior year was when everything started going downhill, when my life plan, all these goals that I set from 7th grade until senior year have been like going the way I wanted it to. Senior year, everything just decided to crash, right? And this was a big lesson I had to learn my senior year, was you can't plan life. You can't plan how everything's going to go. You can't plan for things to be in your favor all the time. So senior year, SirWeAre wise, we were still doing SirWeAre. This was 3 years in, and this is when we wanted to focus more on photography more than just making YouTube videos. And we were just doing that. But everyone has their own life plan. Everyone has their own life goals, and things happen. We drift apart. A lot of members started drifting away because of relationships, and then there was the side where I wanted to take this more serious because I didn't know if this was just going to be something I did in high school or if this is going to be something I do throughout my entire life along with school. And there's just a lot of things when I wanted to take it serious, but people didn't want to take it serious who were on the team during this time, and we just drifted apart. And a lot of things happened that way. So business-wise, SirWeAre was just kind of like falling apart senior year, and I was just like, what am I doing with this? What am I, right? So like there's that. I don't know what's happening. And then there was, sorry, I'm like looking down to see if I'm like on track. Then there's also a lot of pressure. So I'm the youngest of 3. I have 2 older sisters, and both of them got full rides. So I think the pressure of just me getting a full ride was in the back of my head throughout my entire life. I've always been like trying to catch up to them. I've always wanted to catch up to my sisters and just be like next to them instead of like behind them. And there's that pressure. I've always been academically unlucky. So I've really bad testing anxiety. I've taken the ACT 9 times. I've gotten the same score 9 times. I've done practice tests. In any situation, I cannot, for some reason, when it comes to tests, like sitting in a room, being still, I just have this bad anxiety. I failed nearly almost all my AP tests that I took. I took all of them, but I failed like probably 2/3 of them, 3/4. Quite a bit of them. But even in the sense of high school wise, so me and my sisters went to the same elementary and junior high, but when it came to high school, they ended up going to a high school that focused more on college, had better grades technically, and just more college courses. And when I applied to go there, I actually got rejected. So my life could have been completely different if I went there. I think about it, but I'm kind of glad where my life is now, right? So I went to a school that wasn't financially as prominent as the school my sister went to, even though theirs wasn't like anything more. But yeah, so I just went to a school that was more challenging, I guess. Not more challenging, but I don't know if you know what I'm saying, but it was just harder to academically stand out there. Or it was easy, but then if you wanted to compare, it became not as, like if you're going to compare top tier schools, my school, even if I stood out, I would only be like an average person at this school, if that made sense. But yeah, so there's just a lot of pressures that I put on myself, even though my family technically never put on that pressure of like, oh, you have to get a full ride, oh, you're behind, etc. I put that pressure on myself. That's on me. And then there was 3 main things that happened my senior year that kind of changed a lot about myself. So the first was my second quarter in my senior year. I was taking AP Physics, or I was taking AP Physics all year, but we had a AP Physics final, and during this entire semester, I knew the subject. I was teaching people the subject. I was explaining it. I had discussions with my teacher after class. And for some reason, physics just clicked, right? Like in my head, it just made sense because it's the math of why things work. And that just made sense to me. So I knew the subject. But when it came to that final, we sat down, we took the test. I finished the test. and I was solid. Then my teacher says 5 minutes left. For some reason in my head, I had just like a panic attack, and I erased the entire test and turned it in. I failed the test, and then leading to me failing the quarter. But he has like this what's it called? When you like overwrite. So the nice thing was that if I did better the next term, my grade would be rewritten. So I didn't really necessarily worry about that. I did worry because I was like, oh man, what if this happens again? But overall, at the end of the day, it worked out. Fixed my grade, got an A. But he had a talk with me after he graded that, saying like, well, what's up, right? Like, why is this all this happening? And I don't know, right? Like, I didn't know. A week later was the Sterling Scholar finalist interview and all that stuff. And if you don't know what Sterling Scholar is basically if you get the Sterling Scholar Award, you get a full ride to any school in Utah. And I was a finalist for it in the business category, which was really great. But there's a lot of pressure in that thing too, and I can go into that later. But turns out I was just in a room during that competition, during that ceremony. Imagine being in the room knowing you're the dumbest person in that room. That's just facts. That was just how it was. And after that, I just wondered to myself, what was I doing with my life? Like, these people have patents. These people have made like thousands of dollars in their senior year. These people have full rides to schools that I could only dream of getting into, right? And I was like, what am I doing here? And so that just broke me, right? Then I disappeared. I actually just disappeared for 3 days. I got in my car and I just drove off, and with my the physics test, just like erasing my entire physics final, basically realizing that I was like dumb and my life was like pointless at that point, right? I just got in my car and I drove off, and I just didn't come home for a few days. Yeah, like my friends were worried, my family was worried, but I just couldn't. I didn't know why, right? Like life was just falling apart, and during this time, I actually got rejected by. I just kept getting rejected by scholarships after scholarships. By the time I graduated, I got 0 scholarships. I got rejected by over 87 scholarships. And after a while, it gets to you, like after a while, you just wonder, why do I keep doing this? Eventually, I came back home, and I messaged my best friend, and I asked her, I was like, hey, will you go to the doctor with me, right? Damn. This is like, anything past 2018, I've like blocked out. I've put a mental block on myself and tried to avoid remembering any of this. It's a bad habit, and I actually tie Utah to a lot of it, where I don't like remembering this stuff. So I don't like coming back to Utah because it brings up a lot of these memories. But I guess we're doing we're talking about a lot of deep stuff today. But yeah, so I messaged my best friend and I asked her, will you go to the doctor with me? We went to the doctor and sat down. I explained everything that happened, and he told me, you have ADHD, depression, anxiety. And he gave me prescriptions for all of those. And after that, I was just on a lot of, the rest of senior year, I just remember being on a lot of prescriptions. I was taking like 4 medications every single day, 3 times a day. And I just remember like everything was just this after that, right? After we went to the doctor, that happened, and I can't really remember the rest of senior year. I just remember being numb, I guess, right? But something in my head clicked. Not like something in my head, but one day I just woke up and I was like, I'm tired of feeling sorry for myself. I'm tired of how I feel right now. And this is going to sound stupid, but I got up, drove to my tattoo shop that I usually go to, and I got SirWeAre tattooed on my chest. And I just impulsively got it tattooed on my chest, and I get a lot of questions, do I regret my tattoo? And no. I got the tattoo because I woke up that morning saying to myself, I will never feel this way again. I will never put myself in such a dark place and feel so shitty about myself and feel so sorry about myself and not do anything about it. So I got SirWeAre tattooed on my chest because I decided from that point on that no matter what, SirWeAre will not fail as long as I put... I'm okay with SirWeAre changing its logo, falling apart, failing, at the end of the day, like not working out, not being my thing, as long as I give 110%, I give everything I have to it. That the only reason it failed is because it failed, not because this company, this thing that I believe in, this passion, this dream that I've been working on for the past 4 years is not going to fail because I half-assed it. It's not going to fail because I didn't give 110% into it. It's only going to fail because it failed, not because I didn't put in the work. That was the thing about SirWeAre. That's why I got it tattooed on my chest, as a constant reminder that I'm going to put in work every single day for the rest of my life to make this work. Yeah. So I got SirWeAre tattooed on my chest, and senior year followed through. And it was graduation. I ended up graduating valedictorian, top of my class, but my school had this thing where there's actually 6 of us, and it was all 6 of my closest friends up there on stage, and it was actually pretty cool that we're all valedictorians. But something about me being on that stage, something in my head clicked, and I just said, I'm not happy. Do I really want to go to college and experience this pressure of literally everything I knew at that point breaking down, breaking everything about me? And do I want to experience that for 4 more years of college, then 4 more years of med school, then 2 years of residency, and then 4 years of specialty, just to be in my mid 30s, early 40s, where I want to be in life? And I said no. So throughout all of high school too, I was working. I saved enough money, and I could afford to go to the University of Utah. I could afford to go there for 1 year only. After that, I would have to get loans. I would have to be in debt, and I just couldn't justify it. So I applied for a community college instead, and I paid out of pocket. I had FAFSA, so that was really nice. But I actually split up my savings, so I had enough for a full year at the U. But when I graduated, I decided I'm going to start living my life. I'm going to start doing the things I want to be doing. I'm just going to try learning new experiences and being who I want to be. And before all this, I had this mask on, this fake persona. I don't necessarily know if it was fake, but I toned down who I really was, or who I wanted to be, or things I wanted to do, because I thought I had to be this person, to look this way, to do these things. So after graduation, I spent half of my savings to travel. I decided to myself that for as long as possible, I'm going to travel every single month. And that's what I did. I traveled every single month, fell in love with different places, got to see new experiences, tried new foods, met new people, and my world just opened up, right? This life just opened up. And during all that, by the time I went to college, I was still traveling every single month. College was not a priority. Community college, at this point, I did not care at all. I would show up to class once a week. I would sleep in class if I showed up. I would not really pay attention. I would just be on my phone. I didn't care anymore. I was at this point where I thought that the academic system, the school system failed me or betrayed me, and I was just bitter. I was really bitter after I graduated, and I had friends in universities, or my closest friends during this time, reach out to me saying, why aren't you here? Why aren't you in college and all that stuff? And I'm like, and they had full rides, they had tuition paid for, or parents would back them up with money. And I was just like, I can't justify my parents paying for me to go to college. College is a choice. That's something I decide to go and do. So that's a choice that I have to financially bear, and that's my personal philosophy. But yeah, I went to college, and during all this time I was traveling, and somewhere in there I ended up doing SirWeAre alone because things happened and we all split up, and I just decided to do this alone. And yeah, but somewhere along my traveling, I fell in love with Seattle and just made a plan that I wanted to be out here. So next thing I know, left college, got 3 jobs, saved up, moved out here, and this is where I'm at now. That's the longest backstory ever. But throughout the year, so from summer 2018 until now, I did a lot of growing up. I did a lot of soul searching, figuring out who I was, fixing a lot of issues. And to also note, after graduation, I just cut off all the medication I was taking, and I was just like, I'm gonna live and fix myself by myself. So I am really used to being alone because I had to be alone to fix a lot of things about myself. But yeah, so how did my parents feel? They were not happy. Imagine being this child that you never had to worry about, and the moment when it matters, he does a 180 and quits school. So my parents were not happy. My sisters are happy with me, but you can tell like they're worried about me every single day, which I get. I get why my family's worried, but I just gotta live my life. That's how it is. You just gotta live your life. Do I regret dropping out? Not really. I am happier than ever, and I am pursuing something that I'm fully passionate about, and I believe in what I'm doing. And if one day I wake up and I decide this isn't for me, at least I am able to say I did something that most people, whether you're Asian American or just a regular person, you can't, like, I can say I pursued something that a lot of people can't say they did. I started my own thing. I moved out alone. I'm doing something that I'm actually really proud of, and for me to acknowledge that is actually like, finally, it's like that's the thing I got to tell myself. It's like, finally you're giving yourself some credit. Will I ever go back? Maybe. I've thought about going back just to learn some things. Just get a quick degree because I wasn't that far off. But maybe I'll find a passion if I go back, and if I do, I do. But it's in the back of my head, and there's parts of me when, like, now I think about it, I'm like, I wish I had that, like, because in high school, before high school, all that stuff, I wasn't a partier. I didn't do any drugs. I didn't drink or anything. I didn't have a lot of like life experience that way. And then, so parts of me, it's like, oh, I kind of wish I had like a college experience. I wish I had the party experience and all that stuff, but that's not a big priority. I just went from super nerd to freelancer and avoided all social aspects of my life. But yeah, I don't know if this really answered your guys' questions, but what I'm trying to say at the end of the day is I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm very happy with the way things turned out, and even if things get scary, I'm really glad I went through all of that, and it sucks, but I grew up a lot. And if you're asking, is college meant for me? Should I be going to college? It's something you have to figure out. And I do suggest if you want to go full-time freelance, if you want to go into the arts, to make sure you have like a demographic, make sure you know what you're doing, and if you're ready, just jump full force into it. But if you just think college isn't meant for me, but you don't have a plan, I suggest stay in college. Go to community college. Take random classes, because I took some classes that I love, that I learned a lot, that changed my perspective, that actually made me want to stay in college more, because yeah, it was just fun. A lot of people hate on generals, but general education or general community college, it's cheaper and it gives you the opportunity to explore things. Because most of us, we think, oh, we want to be in this major, so we only can take classes in this direction. When maybe you focus on your major, but on the side you take a psychology class, you take a sociology class, you take life science class, and you're like, oh dang, this is actually kind of cool. Maybe I'll minor in it. Oh, maybe I'll just take this because I think it's fun, and then that's my for fun class. Community college is a good way to explore and find out, is this meant for me? Just exploring, taking classes, and I know people hate electives, but you never know what you really want to be doing or what is meant for you or what's right for you until you try it. And to be closed off and say, I'm not going to like this. I took an anthropology class in college, for example, and I for sure didn't think I was going to like it. And at the end of the day, the class was all right. But the professor was really chill. The people I met in there were really chill. And I would have never met them if I didn't take that class. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, don't go in saying, I'm not going to like this subject. Go in saying, I'm going to try this out. If I don't like it, I don't like it. But I could be meeting really cool people. Yeah. Random tangent at the end. If you're trying to figure out, is college meant for you? Just gotta live your life and find out. And it's okay to stray away from what you think is the right path. It's okay to disappoint your parents, because at the end of the day, you're living your life. You have to... Your parents... Be grateful for your parents, but in the future, at the end of the day, it's your life. You're the one that takes care of yourself. You're the one that's going to pay for your bills. You're the one that's going to be doing this career for the rest of your life. You're going to be doing this thing for the rest of your life. So you got to figure out, is this what I want to be doing? Or is this what my parents want me to be doing? And let's say you go to college, get your degree, and you figure out, this isn't for me. That's okay. We have our entire lives. We have our entire lives to figure things out. When I was in community college, I had people going back to college to change their career when they were 60. I was like, and that opened up my mind. I was like, dang. And you could do the same. You could not go to school and figure out one day, maybe I should go back to college. Maybe I enjoy learning. Maybe this is meant for me. Anything can happen. Just be open-minded about it. But yeah, like always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. You can like, subscribe, comment if you really want. But let me know if this helps anyone. I know this is a really long video, but I just have a lot to say. See ya.